Okay, this one's about pressure switches that are commonly used on 90% plus furnaces. Now this is one you can see because it has the plastic pipe. Let's know which pipe is which. This one here is a combustion air coming in from outside, and this one over here is the exhaust gases going out. Now you will oftentimes have a pressure switch in these furnaces. Now this is a two-stage, so it's got two pressure switches, but one of the pressure switches has tubing coming off of both ends. Now this one here, this is the one we're talking about. This has tubing coming off of here, and it goes up to here. Okay, now that tubing is going up to the combustion chamber. What it's doing is it's referencing the combustion chamber. It's saying, is there too much vacuum in the combustion chamber? Now the other side of that pressure switch is going over to the heat exchanger. It's going right behind it, so you can't really see it. But it goes to the heat exchanger, which is pulling a vacuum from this inducer fan. The inducer fan is essentially sucking on the heat exchanger, where this pressure switch has a sensing tube. So it's coming, and you can, I will get out a pressure switch so you can look at them, and you can see we're pulling pressure from both sides of the diaphragm. Okay, here's a pressure switch that takes vacuum from both sides. This one's actually marked intake and flue. The diaphragm's right in the center, and you're pulling a vacuum on both sides. And of course the flue vacuum is going to have to be much stronger than the intake to overcome the bias of the spring in the pressure switch. But that's why you'll see two taps on some of these pressure switches, is for checking that combustion chamber. So why do we do that? Okay, I have a high vacuum coming out the back here at the pretty much at the outlet of the heat exchanger, and then I have this tube right here that's going up to the combustion chamber, and they're pulling opposite ways. If both of them had the same vacuum on them, then the pressure switch would not make, because the pressure switches have a little spring in them that biases them, so that you have to suck on the back in order to get the vacuum. Now, if you have the same amount of vacuum on both sides, what does that mean? It simply means that you have a blockage in this combustion air line. If you have a blockage in the combustion air line, you don't want the furnace to start, because it does not have enough combustion air. So let's hook a pressure switch up to this, and we'll see what pressures we read. Okay, note I put a T in the line, and this is the side of the tubing that goes up to the combustion chamber. This should be a very low reading. You get a high reading on the other side of the pressure switch, but this side should be very low. So we'll fire this up. Okay, with the manometer hooked up to the combustion chamber, I have 0.16 or 17 inches water column negative pressure. Let's look and see what the other side of the pressure switch has. I'm hooked up to the other side, and now we've got 1.95. Okay, the difference between those two is the actual pressure under which this pressure switch is making. So let's put in I'm going to go ahead and hook this back up to the combustion chamber, and then we're going to block the combustion air. Okay, if you look, I've taken off the combustion air pipe. I haven't covered it yet, but we're going to check the vacuum. Now the vacuum is pretty much the same as it was before. Now let's cover it up. Now you see, I've got that almost completely covered up, and I got a 0.79. That's really high. And remember, the pressure we had before, it was 0.16, 0.17, something like that, before we did this. Now it's 0.81. That is pulling way too hard. That's telling me I have a blocked vent, or a blocked combustion air. And the pressure switch is not going to make. Now as I move this back and forth, it changes. Now as I take it off, you can see it drops back down to where it was. The switch is there to detect a blocked combustion air pipe. Hope this makes sense. It's just a safety in case a bird decides to make a nest in your combustion air, or you get water in it. Anything like that is going to affect that combustion air vacuum. You're going to have plenty of vacuum coming out of the inducer down there, but that doesn't mean you're getting enough air. See, the pressure switch would make from the inducer because it's pulling plenty of vacuum. But what you need is a check on the back side so that if there is a blockage in there, it shows up and shuts the machine down. Okay, that's it on that one. I hope that one makes sense.